Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and this is the Dawg Pound. Today we've got a great subject. We've got some great guests. They're all logging on now. They're coming back. Starting with my good friend, the Queen of BDC, the undisputed Queen of social media, my friend Bobbie Herron. Hi, Bobbie.
Well, hello there. Hi, everyone.
Everything going good for you?
It is going good. I was chasing a dog around all morning. I'm dog sitting this week, and I'm not a dog person, so it's a new thing for me. We're learning to dog together.
Well, today we're going to talk about the dawning of the new sales era. Sales has taken a left turn. The road to the sale has taken a new paradigm hit. So we're going to talk about that with one of the foremost trainers in the known universe. I'm talking about the man who is the ultimate automotive sales trainer, the best in the business. I couldn't have that guy on today, but I did get Jonathan Dawson.
Congratulations, Zanan.
I'll take a resounding second place to the guy you just described.
And not only, I understand you got your new Pinnacle Center open.
Yeah, we are. In fact, I'm streaming from it live. Right behind me is the stage, the main stage. Maybe give you a little tour of the place here in a bit if we have time for it. But yeah, I'm at the Pinnacle Training Center. The grand opening's coming up.
So excited for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So
well deserved.
For you. And when I say that Jonathan Dawson is one of the best sales trainers in the world, I'm handing that title over to somebody else because I've held it for so long. But I'm telling you right now that the man's spectacular. He's got the ultimate training center in Atlanta. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, I'm going to introduce you to another one of my very good friends, General Manager Germain Toyota, my friend Brian Kramer.
Hey, Brian.
I've got my own virtual background. Mr. Dawson. Mine's imaginary. Jonathan's is real.
Well, you're selling cars in the metaverse, right?
Not yet. That's like a movie trailer coming soon.
But you're
the metaverse near you, Jim.
You're all ready to do that. I heard you're going to deliver a car on the metaverse here very soon.
We are. We've got the goggles right there, but it's kind of like John F. Kennedy announced he's going to land on the moon. Then doing it with the deadline, not giving ourselves a lot of time till the end of the week. It's
okay. So you're going to be delivering cars and selling cars with people wearing Oculuses, and is that what I'm to understand?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So
we took a photo of you recently.
That keeps all the haters out of my brain.
Everybody
that tells me all things I can't do.
His Photoshop skills are improving.
I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan.
We will talk about selling cars on the metaverse. I think we'll probably what's the word on Frank Crinite?
Yeah, he's going to be joining us. I've got him. He said he would carve out half an hour. I don't know the number.
He's two cars.
Yeah, he might be in the process of delivering 4 cars right now. But he said he would carve out half an hour for us. But I don't know which half an hour. But he will. He said he will join. It's just about breaking loose and joining. I will send him a text and let him know that we're live, and I'll send over the link one more time so when he can carve it out, he'll come on.
Fantastic. Well, today we're going to talk about the shifting paradigms in the world of sales. Now, when I started selling cars in 1976, I mean, it was an order pad and don't come to the desk without a deposit. The road to the sale, meet and greet the customer, establish a relationship, select a vehicle, present the vehicle, demonstrate the vehicle, and expect the trade-in with the customer, write up, negotiate the deal, TO to finance with a quality turnover, and deliver the car the way the factory wants it delivered. I mean, that was the Bible. And there were different versions of that, but they were all 10 steps, 11 steps. And I'm going to tell you right now, the road to the sale didn't die. We've just put technology into the road to the sale. We've inserted technology into it. Before I get to Jonathan, what's your drift on that, Kramer?
I think that you're right. There's many things that change, and it doesn't matter. You know, like Bobbie always says, inbound phone call the same way. You still have to follow still a basic framework, a spinal cord, if you will, of just certain things. The offshoots might change on that, but you know, I was getting into a real heated debate about test drives yesterday, and everybody has different theories about it, but the data just keeps on changing. It's changing this week from last week, and it's very difficult not to just go with the Baskin Robbins 31 flavors as the business is going, because it keeps on changing. The data keeps on morphing into something else. So I think you got to be right now really elastic, really agile. And me personally, to succeed in the next 5-10 years, it has to come down to culture. It's got to come down to mindset of the team, because they're going to have to be very resilient, because it's not like they just went through a lot of change. They're going to go through a lot more. And then 2 years after that, they're going to go through a lot more, and it might get reinvented and reinvented again. So the strength of your culture, the foundation of your culture, what do they say? It's you know, it always comes down to trust, the culture, and you know, you can't cheat on those things because it's going to get found out.
I've had to reinvent myself so many times in 48 years. Before I get to Bobbie, because I know I want to blend Bobbie into this conversation with the BDC aspect. Jonathan, what changes have you had to make in your process recently?
Well, I think that to your comment about the road to the sale, you know, certainly anybody who tries to tell me 10 steps, no, there's really only 4. Really what I end up discovering when I ask them to tell me there 4 is they've combined like 3 steps into one and call it 1 step now, but it's still fundamentally the same. I think the foundations of relationship building and the foundations of a transaction are still there. What changes, I think, in my part, and I'm going to speak a little bit from the perspective of the Pinnacle Society, working with high performers, and just the adaptation that my students who've adopted marketing and what I call indoctrination marketing, which is basically you know, how they get their message in front of the customer before the customer. Sometimes I refer to this as persuasion before persuasion. But when you're persuading somebody, when you're using indoctrination marketing, those are fancy terms that all they mean is making sure the client is bought in prior to you having to convince them of anything. So whether that's through your generic, you know, kind of general broad stroke marketing messages that are your value propositions that just kind of get saturated into the market, and you just let people know by reputation and so forth, you know, what to expect from you, or you do very targeted, you know, specific campaigns. It doesn't matter. The point is, the biggest change that my students have experienced that are succeeding is they're not waiting until they meet somebody physically to convince that person then that they should like you, trust you, and want to do business with you. It's the persuasion, it's the indoctrination funnel that the contact has been made prior to contact, and that causes that person then to come into the process with a pre-established foundation of trust, pre-established desire, pre-established you know, filter for being able to buy. And then it allows for that speed of sale to be so critical. You know, obviously here in a moment, if we're joined by Frank Crinite, which I believe we will, he'll be able to elaborate on this. But, you know,
the man sells 150 cars a month.
Yeah, the reason why they're able to do this, and I just posted actually to my timeline a video from the #1 Nissan salesman in the world now. His name is Benny. He's a Pinnacle Society member as well. And I just shared a video, his owner, you know, shot of Benny's trophies and all that, and I put it on my timeline so we can watch it. But Benny, you know, Benny is in Metairie, Louisiana. He's the first time ever #1 for the brand Nissan. #1 has ever been out of LA or out of Miami, basically, like out of East Coast, West Coast. It's the first time it's ever happened that somebody who's not in a major metro, not in a, you know, New York, LA, Miami kind of area, is the #1 salesman in the country. And when I met Benny 2.5 years ago, Benny was not doing any persuasion marketing and not any indoctrination marketing. Now he does, and now he's #1 in the country.
Well, let me slow you down a second. Are we going to say that this was a result of his association with Pinnacle, you and your associates, and the training that you offered?
Well, I'm not going to say that because.
Well, you can. I mean,
No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that, Jim, because
Here's the
Troy,
thing.
the
You
owner,
become the people you surround yourself with, and that includes not just what Jonathan has built, what he's training on, because he's a phenomenal trainer. I've seen the product of his training and witnessed it, but he's built a group of people who truly want to live in a high performance culture. And the people you surround yourself with will make you great. They'll bring you up or they'll bring you down. So if John won't say it, I will say, like, there's a combination of things that occur there.
Exactly. You are who you hang with. How many times have we said that? Brian, you and I have had conversations. You are who you hang with. 100%. I was on the internet looking for sales trainers the other day, and I came upon some hillbilly that's teaching stuff I taught 30 years ago. I'm going, what? And dealers are paying for this. I mean, he didn't.
I think there's some credit too to Bobbie's point that Jonathan's obviously selling the top leadership at the dealership or selling the Pinnacle Society members on how to be a 360-degree leader and lead up, lead across, because that doesn't nobody's just going to anoint somebody and say, yep, you can have that much of our inventory. You can be empowered that much. We're going to trust you to do all of these other things that we don't trust everybody else to do. I think there's a lot to be said for that piece of it, because that I see that not working in the majority of dealerships, because I see a lot of people that have to have that control and willing to let go of some of those things.
Yeah,
Bobbie, as we get into the new processes, where does BDC fit in all this?
I mean, BDC, whether it's a true BDC, it's a hybrid, or it doesn't exist at all. And BDC is really just the development of a relationship between somebody who's raised their hand and said, I'm either maybe interested in something or I'm unsure. It's just the develop of turning that lead into an actual opportunity for a conversation. The people involved in BDC, whether it's true BDC or a hybrid, or it's the sales team, it's all the same thing. Skill set and ability, but mostly desire and ambition are what make the difference there. Like we look at any sales team. A BDC effectively is a sales team that runs alongside another sales team with a different skill set, and they have to work hand in hand together. So you think about, I look at my tribe. I'd say my tribe, however cliche that is, but it's by design that I'm surrounded by ambitious, strong men and women, because they won't let me not always be at the top, and they won't let me quit or give up or not give enough. And the people that are around you will cause you to want to be better and stronger all the time. So even in a BDC, you have to have empowerment, and you have to be constantly lifting and motivating your team.
Jonathan, how much management is required of these super salespeople? I know a lot of salespeople now that are approaching 60, 70 units a month, and I know a few that are doing more than 100. How much management is required with these people?
Oh, very little, of course. Self-management, internal management, they're managing themselves. But as far as being managed by what you would call a traditional sales manager, I would say very little management is required from that. Many of them actually now are effectively managing others, right? They now have either assistants or in some cases sub-teams of sales underneath them that they're now managing. Like, for example, Ali Reda, he now has two people that he's managing, that he basically runs their deals. He doesn't count them as his unit counts. They're their own individuals, but he's now a manager effectively of them while he's still producing his 150 cars a month individually.
Now, Brian, do you have anybody like that in your organization, Germain Tampa?
No, we've got a few people that are doing the 20s consistently, but we don't have that level. Mostly we got 2-day off work week, and there's some that could do 30 and some that have done 30, 35, but we haven't been able to break through to that level of volume. But the other, it's difficult because we don't also, and Jonathan and I talked about this, we hadn't created, which we're doing a better job of now, we hadn't created what that looked like and created that vision to be able to paint the picture of what that career path would look like, because everybody wanted to just get into management as quickly as possible. So a lot of people that we had that probably could have gone that route went into sales management, finance management, and I really didn't look at it like that until he stopped by the store.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would love to that point, Brian. And you can put some thought into this. I think you have to decide or publicly announce, but Give me one or two of
No
your
pressure.
2025. Give me one or two of your 2025 into the pinnacle and see what happens, because we have many on our team right now. I mean, in the community who were 2025 a year and a half ago and now are 40, 50, and just it's amazing. It's really amazing. You know, this goes back to Bobbie's point of her tribe. You know, psychologically speaking, just a little bit of psychology, we tend to be influenced by the voices that we either surround ourselves with the most, who have direct authority or impact on us in an authoritarian way. We'll be influenced by them because they control us to some degree. So we're influenced by the people we surround ourselves with, those people that have authority over us, and the people who we look up to, which aren't always the same group of people, by the way. Right. So when you can, then, if those are the three primary voices of influence in a person's psychology, if you can put a person, like, for example, our 25 car person, put them into a community where they're now surrounded by voices that are all saying a higher level thing. If they are under submission, being coached by people like myself, Frank, and Ali, who now have the authority to be able to impose on them processes, show them and teach them, and people who they look up to, because now they're no longer the big fish in their little ocean. They're now a little fish in a big ocean. And so I would encourage any dealer watching this, if you've got somebody that you believe should be at 40, and you don't know how, we have the map. And we have guys. Last year, one of our members did 300, I want to say it was 334 cars or 336. Last year, works 3 days a week and did 330 cars last year. 300, and only works 3 days a week. We have people selling 40 plus working 4 days a week. And then, of course, we have people selling 50, 60 working 5 days a week. So we can redefine success.
When I sold cars, last time I sold cars was 1982. I have heard things have changed since then. You know,
some have not.
I have definitely heard things have changed since then. And I hit 30. That 1982 is when I went into management. And, you know, I was no longer in sales. I was in management at that time. So when I went into management, I was selling 30 cars many months. You know, not every month, but many months I was knocking down 30 cars. And when I was knocking down 30 cars a month, that was the end of the world. When I was knocking down 30 cars a month, I mean, with no technology, low technology, that was everything.
When we were using index cards and Rolodexes, because I remember that in the finance office printing them.
I had the Stuker box.
I used the Stuker system.
Is
that Tim Cox?
Yeah. So
before
we transition, just real quick, as I think it helps to think about, like, as Jonathan and Brian are talking about this, when I'm teaching, I teach a lot using sports. That might surprise some people, right? But I teach a lot using sports. And so I'm a big believer that every team, whether it's relationships, your team at work, your family, every team has a coach and a captain. They're not always the same person. So leading other people doesn't have to mean that you're the coach. It might mean that you're the captain, you're the influencer, the person they look up to, the person who they want to be like. And so if we remember that on teams, that those aren't always the same people, it makes it a lot easier to lead and mentor.
Fantastic. Jonathan, you got a strange face behind you. Not a strange face, just an unfamiliar face.
Well, I don't know if it's unfamiliar to too many people, but I will say it is a strange looking face.
Yes, I've been dealing with that my entire life, so I appreciate you bringing that up, Jim. Thank you.
Why don't you give a soft introduction, Jim, to the people who don't know my surprise guest?
Who is your surprise guest?
You don't know Tim Cox?
No.
From Atlanta?
Tim Cox?
He just bought Darwin Automotive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It just dawned on me who we're talking about. Okay.
Tim Cox from Carnow just popped into the Pinnacle Training Center.
I've been talking to him on the keyboard.
Yeah. That's right. Thank you. We have not had the privilege to physically meet him.
Oh, you guys hadn't met?
No. Well, obviously heard about him for years, and then we just connected and said we have to connect.
Happy to make the introduction.
Make it awkward for both of them, Jonathan.
Yeah, good stuff. Sorry, I bombed.
No, you're all right. We're talking about.
I need a full demo from you.
If you're going to talk about the evolution of car sales, and you can't do that without talking about the impact that digital retailing and digital marketing has had, and you can't talk about that without talking about the impact Carnow has had on dealerships' ability to create meaningful conversations through digital retailing tools, and that's of course Tim's primary specialty, and what they do for dealers is create an environment where meaningful conversations can happen with the consumer.
He's promised to do a demo. We just haven't got the date set
Yeah,
yet.
you guys want to get around to that?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to. And again, that, you know, it's moving so quickly. We just made an announcement a couple of days ago at NADA. We're the only platform that's going to allow cryptocurrency. So now dealerships have the ability to take, you know, Bitcoin as down payment, or they could, you talk about the future of automotive retail, or if, you know, there's my son's 21 years old, senior at Arizona State, and one of his high school friends is, you know, he's got $400,000 or $500,000 in crypto, and now you can even take loans. There's banks that dealers can still create margin, even more so than a traditional bank, when their consumers want to use their crypto as almost like a HELOC, so they can borrow against it. So a lot of exciting stuff.
I've got to get
Ryan,
educated.
are you?
I have an NFT of me.
Hey, we're gonna have an auction for that.
Auctioning it up.
Yeah.
Ryan, are you guys
Auction it up right now.
I know you're going into
We are.
Harvard.
I got my.
Yes, let's get that
And
auction
auction it
going.
up.
Yeah.
Brian, go ahead.
What am I? Right there? No, I'm actually.
Oculus.
Tim and I are doing a podcast in the metaverse here in the near future with Bob from Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got a question
We're-
on. I got a
We're
question.
doing a
Who wants
delivery
to
this
take
week,
that?
Tim, in the metaverse. F&I
Amazing.
delivery. Using Darwin.
Very cool.
Love it.
Hey, you're not paranoid if everybody is out to get you, Jim.
Yeah, that's right. That's not fair now.
Yeah, that I love that. Absolutely love that. Okay, I got a question on the screen, guys.
Yeah, am I mistaken in saying it's all relative market inventory staff count? Smaller market Hyundai staff of 10. One guy does 25, others 15 consistently. He says can't wrap my head around a salesperson doing 50 plus. You know, I can only say, I guess I'm going to speak from my perspective, and my opinion on this is markets matter, sure. Brand does matter, sure, but I suppose it's like this. There's always an exception to the rule. Why not it be you? You know, if you're going to say my market wouldn't allow it, okay, but let's say there's an exception in your market. Why not make it you be the exception, or your store, or your personnel, your staff? You know, when I first started preaching the rule of 22, which is that your store has to have a 22 car per person average, otherwise I think it's an unhealthy or broken culture. When I started telling dealers that, they looked at me like I was got, you know, 14 heads. Like, how do you say 22 cars a month is got to be your store average? Otherwise you're broken. Right?
I used to actually teach that if you were averaging more than 20 units per salesperson, you were wasting up.
You would teach it. And by the way, if I can say that, an older philosophy would say that, and would also say that, you know, you need to be around that 10 or 12. But I believe philosophically, morally, ethically, and practically 22 is the target that you should have as an infrastructure. And I have stores now that are 22, 24, 26, 28. We have a store that's right now, again, a larger store, sells 600 cars and does it with 25 people.
Well, let's get into not what we're doing, but how we're doing that. Let's talk. Let's give some value to this audience right now.
And for that Facebook user, that question real quick, I want to remind you guys, as you try to wrap your head around improvements when it comes to high performance culture, regardless of the department that it's in, high performance culture is a universally accepted set of norms with a universal goal amongst a team. If you can't wrap your head around 50 plus and you're averaging 25 plus, start by wrapping your head around 28 and then about 32. Because sometimes when we look at a goal and we think it's too far off, we see it as impossible instead of understanding it as being process driven and being able to actually accomplish it. So start with mini goals so you can experience those wins and failures don't feel as extreme. That's basic psychology and it's really helpful. So
you know, Bobbie, when I was selling 30 units a month, the number 2 guy or woman was selling 15 units. I mean, it wasn't like I was even in a horse race. It wasn't close.
Yeah.
I mean, because if I had the technology that is available today, if I had car now, if I had some of the technology that's out there, if I had the digital tools, and you know, it would be so much different.
Can I just interject something real quick? I number one, was not planning on being, I just wanted to help my friend because I get this amazing, beautiful training center up and running, hence my lumberjack shirt. But I was a uber skeptic. Like I met Jonathan at a conference and I was uber skeptical because you hear, look, my background is, decades managing dealerships. And I was like, wait a minute, 107. And so I was skeptical. I can't read the person's name who typed in the question. I was uber skeptical. Like I'm like holding until I actually went to a Pinnacle event and my mind was blown. And my job, Jim's job, Bobbie's, our job is to serve the dealers that have reached out to us to help, whether that's technology or whatever. And so when I saw firsthand what was happening, and these stores, all these stores that some of these Pinnacle Society members are not all, 700, 800,
No.
In fact, some of them, they're person because creating raving fans, and I don't want to go into a presentation. I've remember because I heard this and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to take this to as many of our dealers as possible. And there's no funny, there's nothing. It's just it works. And I understand I was that person, whoever just typed in the question, that was me a couple years ago until I went and I heard the stories and I listened. And absolutely blown away. It's 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 equals about 100.
Tim, I have changed so many times in 48 years, and I've stayed ahead of the trends. And Brian, let me ask you, what's next?
Well, I think the whole business is about to get flipped upside down. I mean, you take a look at what the OEMs are doing with EVs. You got EVs, you got connected cars. What you're going to be able to do with marketing and how efficient it's about to become and how personalized and targeted as the technology with chat, with inbound phone calls, with AI, all of that stuff delivers such a personalized experience. I think that the inventory situation is not going to go away. And I think that dealers are not going to be upset about that. And I don't think the OEMs are going to be upset about that. And I've been in the last 60 days, really going deep into this whole.
Brian, I don't totally agree with that, but continue on.
So I'm going to tell you why. So people want to have choices, but there's other technology that I've been exposed to in the last 60 days that's coming on with haptic gloves where you can get resistance and you can get that sensory feeling inside of a virtual reality, augmented reality, extended reality. There's metaverses covers like all these different things. And it's a buzzword, like, whatever. You can use it for a bunch of different punchlines, but there's so many different things that bleed over. And, I just ordered some Ray-Ban augmented reality glasses that just came out that are going to allow me to film stuff if I'm walking down riding my, paddle boarding or whatever.
You really do have a tinfoil hat, don't you?
I do, because Grant Cardone told me to get on social media.
Why are you going to take that? You're progressive.
Oh, because it's until I actually put those goggles on with my hat on, I didn't understand exactly what it was. And until you've actually done that and gone into, Horizon Workrooms or Decentraland, where I just bought some property, if you don't, 60 days ago, Ryan Wieben, my new car director, told me he was buying real estate in the metaverse. And I said, let me just talk to you. You damn lost your mind. And I'm saying, now I'm doing it because it took me a little bit longer to get to that point. But after immersing myself in there and seeing what all these other companies are doing, but the OEMs have already been working on this for 5 years. They just don't make it.
Wait a minute, Brian, and we'll talk to you. We're going to talk to Jonathan and Tim. Now, if the manufacturers start selling cars directly to the public, which they evidently are going to do, where do salespeople still fit in this process? Do dealers become delivery warehouses?
You could look at it like that, and I've looked at it like that. And I think that the margin structure is going to be adjusted, and I think there's a lot of, I'll put my tinfoil hat back on. There's a lot of people that are going to be in that same space. But if you take a step back and you look at however it is that they structure those, I think the revenue is going to come from other places. The revenue is going to come from used cars more so than it does now. F&I might be more autonomous. There's going to be other ways with AI, but it's also going to make a Pinnacle salesperson that much more efficient. The more of this redundant technology, I did a thing I'm going to present at Digital Dealer when we're all there. In 2021 at Toyota Naples, 8,851 hours were saved by customers uploading their own credit applications or completing them themselves, putting their own trade information in, uploading their driver's license, uploading their insurance card, and completing a bunch of self-service, tasks that normally, and we're about to do the same thing in service. So I don't think that it's necessarily, I think that Jonathan's model is probably more of the model that more people are going to probably go towards, because when you can eliminate all those administrative redundant tasks, and I promise you that, the people that he's talking about have it down to a science, that they've already got all their stuff ready to roll. They've already got their deals preloaded. They can do it so fast because they do it so often, like an assembly line. And that's the automation I see happening through artificial intelligence and many other technologies, where it pre-populates. You log in with Google, Facebook, and all of that stuff is pre-done so that the data, which they're grabbing it, and that's becoming the new crude oil of the next decade or century. But as they have all that data on you, when you can transact that fast, if somebody's bought a car here, we can sell them off the service drive in 37 minutes. Faster. I had a customer complain to me because we could sell them a car faster than you could get an oil change. So obviously I got to reach.
I can promise you that. Yes.
It's amazing what happens when you just listen to a customer, because even in an internet lead, people will tell you exactly how to sell them a car and to help them make an investment and to put a dream in their driveway if we just slow down and listen instead of fighting it all the time. And some things will work for some customers and some won't, but it's like basic marketing 101 is the same as basic communication 101. You listen to listen, not to reply. You're present and communicating in all of the areas that a customer could potentially be communicating in, even if you don't want to, so that it's convenient for them. It's like courting a relationship. We teach it as wife your customers up, knock it off with the one night stands, and it's true.
So Bobbie, to your point, and I don't want to go too far down this metaverse. I know you want to go deep into this, Jim, but I'm just going to just scratch the surface. So as I'm playing this sports game with my daughter, and she's typically on her phone, I'm on my phone, as I'm studying this more and more, and I'm listening to podcast after podcast about all, from Gary Vee and all these people that are in that space, they're actually saying that you're going to have more personal connection because you can't have those interruptions in the metaverse. You actually have to be really focused. Yeah.
Think about sensory deprivation for a minute. Blind, deaf, anything like this, right? All other senses are heightened. Or if you've ever gone in the, my brain is blanking, but in the tunnel, in the water, it's a sensory deprivation tank. I don't remember what it's called, but it heightens your other senses. In relationships right now, I hate to tell everybody this, but like the people that we're selling cars to right now and who we will be in the next 30 years, this is how they've learned to communicate growing up. It is not the same as what it was for us. So it's like Max always says, adapt or die. But it is a more personal connection when you're building something first off of senses rather than just off of mirroring and ability.
Bobbie, I was floating around in sensory deprivation tanks in 1974 when I was in Big Sur with the hippies.
I didn't even know that would be a different kind of sensory deprivation thing.
You're not talking new technology here, trust me.
I had some sensory deprivation when I followed the Grateful Dead around one summer. I'm with you, Jim.
I had to Burning Man a couple of years ago.
When I was a DJ, when I was a hippie, I mean, there are places in South America and Central America. When I go visit down there, they put me in a convertible and have a parade. Hey, it's Jim. He's back.
That's a sensory overload, different situation. But no, truthfully, people, I think that we really struggle in our industry, and I'm sure this happens in a lot of them, but just being overly familiar with ours. And like Jonathan, psychology is my jam. So it's like we look at it and go, we want to fight everything that somebody wants because it's what we know, instead of saying, I'm going to learn and adapt to what they know, and then I'm going to create a beautiful thing from it. We call it beautiful chaos. That's what we call it over in my life. But it's not that difficult. Like Jim, you ask me all the time, like, I teach BDC, I teach operations. I more often work with dealer operators to balance their entire operations. And people say, why do you do BDC so much? Because BDC is one of the biggest changes alongside technology inside of the store that you can make and create an immediate lift for high performance. And it's also the basic fundamentals of what needs to be happening before the next step.
Well, I'm trying to figure out whether you and Kramer and Jonathan are obsolete. Because
No.
And the reason I'm trying to figure out if everybody on this broadcast,
Reno Tulupo thinks so, based on
Reno Tulupo. Yeah, I saw that. But as far as the old dinosaur leading this pack,
oh, Reno, I don't even know Reno, but I'll tell you, if you honestly
Don't go there. Please don't go there.
no,
I
think it's
ignored it. I
important to
ignored it
know
on
like
purpose.
that.
I
Like,
ignored it on purpose. It's a side subject, please.
all right,
Yeah, stay on
forget
point.
it.
We've only got an hour. We've only
But
got an
no,
hour.
I don't think
Stay
it's
on point.
obsolete. I don't think it's obsolete at all, because there's somebody has to teach old dogs.
I
new
think
tricks.
we're all obsolete. I don't think sales is sales. I'm taking the opposite view here. I don't think sales is sales anymore. I think sales is all about marketing. I think technology can sell
Yes,
cars, and
amazing.
marketing and getting customers' attention and getting their attention on your product is everything, and sales and process is dead.
Well, if you think about process is definitely
I respectfully
not
disagree.
fit into it.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I hope you do.
But think about this for a minute. If all marketing is so granular now that things magically show up on televisions and they just come to us in our hands, I can say I want this perfect pair of red shoes and describe them. And instead of going and searching, it's going to get served up to me. But think about if the marketing process, if the beginning of that relationship is that granular and that magical, what happens when you call and you email and work it to the dealership and all of a sudden it's stale and dry and old? And so who is going to facilitate that relationship, that process that has to go with it in the store? Is something that I don't know, and have somebody come in and teach you. And that's why it's not obsolete.
Jonathan, are you obsolete?
Well, I can't say that I'm obsolete.
I mean,
or will be
what
obsolete.
you're teaching is the Pinnacle Center behind you obsolete?
No, I can't imagine it is, because the Pinnacle Center was created to provide access to the knowledge in a way that, quite frankly, I don't know that we'll ever get rid of instruction. I don't think we'll ever lose the value of teaching and learning and exchanging knowledge that way. I think so. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's obsolete. I don't think that sales is obsolete. Sales is the transfer.
I'm being an opposite
right?
advocate. I'm being the opposite advocate here. I'm doing.
Yeah, no. I get it. I get the devil's advocate argument, but I mean, I think that somebody could try to make a case that's the case. I think integration of marketing and sales and truly integrating them is what has always made marketing work or sales work. Like, if marketing is getting your name and your brand and your product and your service into the market so people know what it is, and sales is the conversion of that knowledge into action so that someone buys something, marketing without sales falls apart and you're dead. If you have sales but no marketing, which is to say you can convert people but no one knows who you are, where you are, what to do with you, or how to find you, then your sales go dead. I mean,
well, Jonathan, if I had gone to the NADA convention last week, and I walked down that magnificent Cox Boulevard, and there are people there that believe that you sell cars on the keyboard. You don't sell cars with a handshake in person.
Jim, I have to interject with. I always.
I hope you do.
I know I just invaded your party, but I'm here to help and lift things. But I have to give you some data that the reason that we can have the best technology in the world. So let me just give you some data, and because
I hope you do. Yeah. Now watch out. Now the first four letters of analytics, or what?
So here's the thing. So we have but we have a pretty decent data set. We have roughly 5,000 dealers using our platform, just over 5,000. And so I have access to some pretty incredible data. One particular data set to exactly what you're suggesting and to what Bobbie's talking about as far as the impact that a BDC can make in your dealership. We looked at, to be exact, because I've looked at the data so much, we looked at 292,917 digital retailing sessions. And you know that a very small percentage, less than 3%, went in unassisted and actually completed the process. When there is at least one conversation, i.e. to Bobbie's point, somebody's having a conversation, that number jumps to 12.74%. Now that's not closing percent, that's just I went in, I completed the process. Of that number, okay, that's a 254% increase. Then we go into all the cars that we are.
Let me slow you down 1 second. 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Now, are we saying that people do not necessarily transact online, that they're still got human interaction in the process?
What I'm saying is, if there is human interaction while they're online, the number nearly
at the zero moment.
Yes. So while they're online, hence to Bobbie's point, just to interject, the power of a well-trained BDC. And then secondly, even though all of the dealers purchasing or inquiring about purchasing, and I know Brian can explain this to this as well, is that there's still nearly 80% of those people that are buying, completing, having conversations, filling that deal online, still want to come into the dealership. There's something about smelling it, feeling it. And again,
Yes, they do.
So to Jonathan's point, to Bobbie's point, to Brian's point, that human interaction, everybody wants a car guy or girl, and selling that experience.
I knew that
off
before
the
I did
lockstep
that.
with technology.
I knew that
Yeah.
before I said that, by the way.
The problem
And
is,
Bobbie, let me jump in here in 1 second. I'm gonna get back to you, but I knew that before I said it. People are not statistically transacting online the way we thought they would. They're what, you know, like I've often said, Bobbie, you've heard me say this. I like to fill out my paperwork, but I still physically go to the doctor. You know, I still physically show up at the doctor. There's got to be human interaction in the process. And that's where the BDC comes in. But people are not transactional online the way that it was projected. Oh, we're going to sell cars on the internet. Tesla does. Well, guess what? Tesla is a small minority of the market, and it's an elite part of the market. And, you know, the elite part of the market might buy their cars totally online. But
what people are searching for is convenience, right? We live in a world of convenience. You think about, like, Simon Sinek explains this really well.
I disagree with convenience. The convenience isn't driving them because it's a major purchase. They're not doing it.
It's the problem is, I guess I shouldn't say the problem. The opportunity is that we live in a world of convenience where everything that we want is available at the snap of our fingers, with the exception of a couple of things. And usually those are answers that we can't find on our own. And so people will reach out to a dealership through a phone call or a lead and ask questions that are genuine and true. And we will do everything we can to make sure we don't give the actual answer so that we can control a situation when somebody comes in, instead of, if you want to do your test drive virtually, here's how you can do it. If you want to upload your credit application, here's how you can do it. If you want an idea of your trade, here's how you can do it. And in the end, a customer wants to choose a place knowing that when they come in, their time will not be wasted and what they're looking for will be available to them. And I'm not saying that everything has to be at somebody's hands, but I'm saying when somebody wants to do something a certain way, you have to be prepared to deliver the experience they are looking for so that they do choose you. Otherwise, you have 2,000 leads and opportunities coming in and nothing is happening with them. And then you're stuck in a rural area with a 20-car month sales guy going, how do I get more than that? And that's how you get more than that, is that you're building a true relationship business. You're doing what they're asking instead of fighting them every step of the way.
Well, who said we're going to fight them, Bobbie? Who said we're fighting them? Who said we're fighting them?
I'm inside of thousands of dealerships a year. We're fighting them. I'm standing on stages, and like, as people are watching,
I don't say I'm them. No, we're not fighting them. They're fighting them.
Well, what I mean is, when I say them, I try to generalize terms.
My job here is to challenge you, not to lay down.
Yeah, I try to generalize terms so that people don't feel attacked. And I always say this at the beginning of any conversation or presentation. If I say something and it affects you, so not you, Jim, but like for the audience, either you're the person I'm talking to, you're being too sensitive, or you need to reevaluate if it actually does apply to you. And that's why I'm not a good fit for everybody.
So Bobbie, my dad's a preacher, and he has a saying: when you throw a rock into a pack full of dogs, the one that goes woof is the one you hit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know everything. Okay, contrary to popular belief, I don't know everything. I surround myself by brilliant people, and I sell on the floor still when I walk into stores so that I don't lose touch with these things. But I'm telling you, we analyze the data for thousands upon thousands of opportunities that come into dealerships through CRMs, through marketing channels. And you have to be willing to meet somebody where they want to be before you can ask them to choose you. It's just that simple.
Brian, jump
I think
in.
the issue is, you know, because you can take the same amount of data, you can spin it either way, right? You can look at it from the right, look at it from the left.
Brian, let me ask you. Brian, let me ask you. What percentage of your customers, you're using several digital retailers right now? True, you got several.
CarNow's one of them.
And Prodigy's the other one, right?
Right.
You got Prodigy and CarNow's one of them. Let me ask you, how many people are actually going through the entire process before they come in the dealership?
5%.
5%. And
but
I hear that from all the dealers. I mean, it's coming. It might come. It might happen. It might actually happen. But people, the manufacturers are so focused on Tesla. We're going to be Tesla. Ford Motor Company, you dumbasses, you're not going to be Tesla. Oh, excuse me.
But I think that's the wrong metric. That's the wrong lag measure to focus on. There's all these lead measures that drive a certain lag measure, right? And you can't. It's become more spherical. It's not like this linear deal. What percentage make it all the way to the end through this gauntlet? You can't look at it like that anymore. You have to look at it. We look at it as what's remotely. What's our process, right? What's our showroom process if they do go all the way through? And now we're defining our virtual process and VR. But there's elements of every single one, right? And so let's say that somebody wants to come into the showroom. They leave because they want to think about it. We don't have a car in stock, and then they do some more research at home, but they don't want to come back in because they already spent too much time there. Dimitri Haynes, one of our salespeople, did it yesterday. It was on Facebook. Well, hey, what would help if we came to you? Now, what happened yesterday is we went to them, and none of my competitors were willing to do that. So we get the deal. And each one of those, because
your competitors are not willing to do an offsite delivery.
You'd be shocked.
Not to do an offsite delivery and do offsite digital F&I and do offsite digital appraisal, or haven't empowered their salespeople to appraise a car at somebody's house, load all that stuff
I have been
into a decentralized model.
I've been an advocate for 10 years that F&I needs to have a Zoom-like application where they actually video at the moment of truth while that customer is still on the website. That's when the car is actually when the decision's made. They go from here to there.
But here's the issue: is that so many
people
an
advocate of that forever.
I talk to people about it daily, and they're like, "Why am I going to focus on something that happens 5% of the time?" And they put a shield up defending their 95% of the time when it's actually not 95%. You can't break it down like that. It's 20% on appraisals. It's 20% on the F&I interview. It's 20% on the actual F&I presentation, menu, DMV paperwork, all that sort of thing. And any one of those that any dealer decides they don't want to participate in, I don't like it for the industry because this industry needs to evolve and needs to change. But I do like it as my direct competitor across town because I have a significant competitive advantage. And every single time they're unwilling to do that, and we win. And that's where Tesla is beating a lot of us, is because they offer solutions on their journey that we don't offer. We don't have to be them. We don't have to be Carvana. We don't have to be all that other stuff. We just have to be the best version of ourselves. And we have to be able, if the customer wants to do it, not say, yeah, we don't do that.
A minute ago,
you got to come in.
A minute ago, I said Ford is not Tesla. I was actually talking to the board. The people at Ford Motor Company are very intelligent people. It was the board I was talking to. You're the ones that think you're Tesla. Excuse me. The board thinks they're Tesla, but they're influencing the physical operation. Tesla is
but a lot of people take
situation.
they misinterpret that 5% and they justify it as, well, until it gets to be 50%, I'm not getting in that space.
Well, no, you got to be in that space. You got to be capable of doing it. You got to be capable of doing it. You got to be capable of total transaction.
Asked is to do what they are not willing to do, and it is not that hard. Every showroom, not every, okay, not talking to everybody. Most showrooms that I walk in, and we talked about this last week. Oh, but Bobbie, we don't have time to send somebody to do a demo at work and pick up a trade while somebody's in their meeting. Everybody's too busy. We wouldn't want to waste that time. You mean the hour that somebody's on their phone, not doing jack shit? Absolutely.
How many times have I said that the vendors need to consolidate the number of screens in front of a sales manager?
It's an investment, and that's where
they got 3 different screens, 3 different vendors, and they're all redundant. The Cox companies, you guys don't even talk to each other. Your technology doesn't even communicate with your other technology. What's wrong with you people?
If you think about Carvana and all the things that everybody doesn't like about them, and we'll use them as a standard sometimes and go like, but Carvana does this. They listened where we didn't, but they're also not killing it in some of the aspects where we could. And that 5%, even if it is only 5, is the easiest way to jump ahead of the competition and to already be prepared when it turns to 20 and 30. That's the variable.
Jonathan, the stores these top performers that you deal with, do their managers micromanage them through tasks and all the other stuff? Or do they trust those guys?
There's a break loose period, Brian. We coach guys through that who are maybe at that whatever the current store plateau is. So some stores, the Pinnacle member will come in and they're at 25 cars a month, and that's kind of the current store plateau ceiling, right? We coach them on the transitional behaviors, the systems that they have to create, the opportunity generation. A lot of them, it's literally weaning them off of dealer-fed opportunities entirely. So we show them the strategy to release. So maybe they're at 25, and about 15 are relational and 10 are transactional buyers. Transactional meaning they come through the dealer's methods. Relational meaning they come through the salesperson's relationships and marketing. So if they're at 25 and it's 15 and 10 is let's say a split, we show them first how to get rid of the 10. So you'll never take another dealer led up anymore. You release that now frees up so much time, because the average dealership lead managed is completely different than a relational one. And you have more time now. So you can sell actually 25 cars and actually buy time back. And then it's graduating from there. But yeah, probably one of the challenges we do have is actually helping managers let go of the person enough so that they're not micromanaging them, because most of these high performers don't need.
Okay, so we're basically trending toward A to Z sales, where one person does the entire sale from.
In some cases, we do have that within Pinnacle. Actually, we have guys who are essentially an A to Z, and we have some that graduated into the A to Z. It's a much more streamlined consumer experience that way, we find. And as long as their profitability is there on all department fronts.
I'm sort of drifting toward A to Z, and I was adamantly against A to Z for years. But the technology shift has made A to Z almost a necessity. And and I came out of F&I. All the records I set were in F&I, so I have an allegiance to F&I. But the separate F&I manager.
Some of them have dedicated ones. So exact. For example, just so you know, Frank Crinite said he's sorry. He has 7 people in the showroom right now. He has
no problem.
47 sold for the month and 10 pending. So he's got 57 sold for the month. So he's got 7 customers on the show floor.
He's got 57 sold for the month.
If
it's true that 2/3 of the cars are sold after the 15th, he's right on track for 150 at least. I've had people tell me, "Well, Mr. Ziegler, we're going to sell more cars in the beginning of the month." No, you're not. 2/3 of the cars are always going to be sold after the 15th, because that's the way money flows through the U.S. economy. You're not going to change that. A lead costs you twice as much in the first 15 days as it does in the second 15 days. Your advertising dollar has twice the yield after the 15th, because that's the way people's money flows through the U.S. economy, not because we choose it to be that way. That's people. We're going to change all that. No, you're not. I've been 48 years. I've been watching people try to change that paradigm. I hate that Frank can't be with us today. So A to Z, Chip Perry and Brian Ali and the people at A to Z Marketing. They hired me a while back, and they came to Atlanta, and I spent a whole day with them, and they paid my going rate, which is pretty high. And I did F&I training with them, because that was the one part they felt they needed some coaching on, and I helped them with that. So anyway, Tim, I'm going to go back to you now that you're in the broadcast. Oh, golly. Now that you're in the broadcast, I said earlier that I have been advocating an F&I contact at the zero moment, while they're still on the website, while they're in the process of making. I want a live person to come in with a Zoom type broadcast, a video type broadcast, have a conversation with the consumer if they'll push the button. What do you think?
We have it. So I was just whispering to Jonathan. I did not want. Number one, I had.
Oh, I thought that was an experience. Okay.
No, yeah, I just wanted to be careful. So we had the privilege. Brian mentioned to it a little earlier. We had the privilege to partner with JD Power, F&I, Darwin, who Brian uses, and about 8,000 dealerships use as well. In my opinion, I think the way they flow the menu in the store is the catalyst in the space. So again, I've said for going on 7 years now since we started our company, you can never sell a car, or service a car for that matter, but you can never sell a car without at least one conversation. So that's why we added the click video within our communication. So
it's in the process. I have not seen the car now process.
Yes, sir. And of course, we need to do that. I've been watching you and listening at everybody that I know and love knows and loves you. So I think it was just a matter of time before our paths crossed. And again, Jonathan and I are preparing for the big grand opening here, and excited, but just jumped right in. But yes, we do have that technology. I do believe that's it is very important. And if nothing else, you know, Jim, you were in F&I a long time. I was in F&I. I know Brian was for a long time.
I was as well.
Yeah, it's a heavy responsibility being an icon.
Jim, just let me sit at your feet and I'll be fine.
I think I was still one of my favorite positions. I loved it.
But what I'm saying is, we all know when I started really spiffing my salespeople, forget technology, just for it's human behavior. When I started spiffing salespeople, if we made 800 on a VSC profit, and I'd give them $100 on the following Saturday, cash and fist, tire and wheel, whatever, and started changing my pay plan, they started showing it earlier in the process. And guess what? My PVR went up. This isn't rocket science. The earlier you show, you know, nearly 100% of all car sales start on either the dealership's website or some type of website. So therefore, it just makes comment. It's not that Car Now is smart. There's a lot of other great companies. There's a lot of great technology doing the same thing. But my point is, the quicker we can show them, whether that's a vehicle service contract or any type of ancillary product in the process, just like when we did it on the floor, when they were buying their car, the higher percentage that consumer is going to be comfortable with it, familiar with it, and then purchase it at the time they check out and buy a car.
Convenience and opportunity. Like, let somebody know what their options are and give them the information that they need, and then the ability to have questions answered about it. And it'll blow your mind what people do. People do anything you ask them to do if you give them a reason for why it's solving a problem that they have, even if they don't even know that it's a problem yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I've mentioned earlier, the process is rapidly transitioning. The road to the sale just took a left turn. The matrix is busted. You know, and I talk about the matrix being busted. Now we got Kramer doing virtual sales in the metaverse.
I'm so excited about that, Kramer. Can we have a conversation about that later?
You know, oh my God.
I'm
yes.
psyched.
And yeah, I'm going to get Keanu Reeves.
It's going live this week.
I got to get Keanu Reeves on with Brian.
I'll give him a call. He had a thing for a minute.
It's hilarious. Your new Pinnacle Center, Atlanta. Unbelievable, state-of-the-art technology. Matter of fact, you've invited me to do some of my seminars there, and I definitely think I'm going to be doing that. You know.
Yeah, appreciate it.
You know,
yeah, I'm still, obviously everything is still being outfitted. We're testing cameras. That's what that thing on the stage and behind. It's a color screen testing for the different cameras that we have set up for recording the content and being able to broadcast and so forth. So. If you've got a minute, I'll give you a brief tour. Can I give you a brief tour?
It's got to be brief. We got 3 minutes.
All right, let's do it. I'll just try to do this real quick here. I'm gonna actually use my little
there you go.
Quick tour.
You want me to follow you?
Yeah, no, I got this here. That's fine. Yeah, so I'm gonna walk out here and start us off here with the intro and kind of give you a tour that way. So never mind some of the stuff. Like I said, I'm still just unpacking things and setting stuff up here, but you get the gist of it. So yeah, coming in from the main front door here, got us a beautiful lobby, break room off here to the side here. So this will be outfitted for nice snacks and things. Our entryway here for the main reception. I got 3 offices down this way here that will be occupied. And this is actually my sponsor wall. So Car Now is going to be one of our title sponsors of the Pinnacle Training Center as a whole. And this wall will be featuring, since this is the first wall everybody sees, we'll be putting up some sponsors on this wall here. Got 3 bathrooms I built in right there. Sorry, go ahead, Bobbie.
I said, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Tim needs to use the bathroom.
So I built in 3 bathrooms in there so everybody can be comfortable. The seating configuration right now is set for 120, but it can be, the size of the room can be adjusted accordingly. And this stage here is, I think, 32 feet by 8, but I have enough staging. I can do a lot of configurations with that. Got my sound and video booth with my sound tech and video producer. That's Caleb back there. He's actually setting up all the all the cameras. And that's it. Now, this is one of my things I love about this space. You see the garage door there? So I was looking for a space. One of the hardest things to find was a space that had a garage door and a ramp. I can drive cars right into the building, and a car can be staged here for vehicle walk-around training, for service advisor walk-around training, for doing the initial interview with the client. And we can do mock walk-arounds for those departments. So I wanted to have a space because the goal is to be able to equip dealers with any pain point that they're currently experiencing. So out of the training center, we'll have receptionist training, service advisor training, IT cybersecurity and data protection training. We'll have resources for management, resources for sales. We'll have rookie schools. We're going to have actually one of my dear friends is going to be running a campaign here and actually doing recruiting classes here as well, recruiting staff. You'll be able to take somebody that you think might be a good fit for a role and get them an introductory class on that role. So before you commit someone into the finance office, put them through an introductory finance class, let them get a really good scope of what it takes and what it's going to need from them before you make that commitment. So we'll have stuff like that as well.
Jonathan, we got a hard stop. We got a hard stop in about 10 seconds here, big
Yeah,
guy.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah,
I love that
Turn it
garage
back
door.
over to you, Jim. As always,
Thank
thanks for
God.
the opportunity. Good to see you,
Stay with
Bobbie.
us, Jonathan.
Love you, Brian. See you.